The resurrection is beginning. Welcome to Weekly Vlog Episode 1, a title so devoid of imagination it could have been spat out by an AI with a head injury. It's a new schedule, she says, as though any of us are foolish enough to believe that the calendar will survive past maybe 2-3 weeks. Monday is a vlog, Tuesday is a live stream, Wednesday is a weigh-in, Thursday is Let's Talk, Friday's her usual ghosting, Saturday's What I Ate, and Sunday's a rest day. Because naturally a woman who films from a sofa with a ring light needs a day of rest. Also, those green hoops with the butterfly clips. It's Etsy core meets middle school theatre. But anyway. She wants us to know that her mental health is bad. Again. It's chemical, it's situational, it's whatever she needs it to be today. And of course, the world is just being so vicious. Cue the trembling lips and softly filtered lens. Everyone's so cruel for reacting to the very content that she herself publishes. It's a fascinating contradiction. She's devastated by the cruelty but unbothered by the criticism. Amberlynn always thinks she's proving a point, but all she's proving is that the self-awareness is on permanent sabbatical. She says the Let's Talk series will be dedicated to responding to rumours. In other words, bait for clicks, weaponised tears and thinly veiled excuses to keep herself within the drama she claims to hate. She says she's going to talk about her BPD no matter what. Of course she is. She never stops talking about it. It's her current shield of choice, tattered and misused, waved around like a backstage pass to avoid consequence. And then cue the I've been so villainized monologue. She's just a normal person, she insists. Just a normal fucking person. Who has spent a decade on camera lying, manipulating, gaslighting, weaponizing mental illness and filming the breakdowns of her partners like it's premium content. But no, we are the ones that lack nuance. She even has the gall to claim that her silence makes things worse, as if she's ever been silent for longer than it takes to open a buzzball. What she means is that people are calling her out faster than she can control the narrative, and it's driving her mad. She says she'll lose viewers and doesn't care. If the right people leave, the audience quality improves. It's an impressive take from someone whose metrics are circling the drain like a flushed goldfish. She thinks this is rebirth. But it's not a phoenix, it's a pigeon with a limp. The feathers are falling off, the screech is hoarse, and the illusion is broken. But don't worry, she's gonna keep talking, because she thinks we all need to hear it. The outfit's giving clearance rack meets early 2000s Hot Topic regret. Those butterfly clips dangling off the hoop earrings like drunken fairies at a rave, the oversized scrunchie perched like a spider on a half-deflated souffle, and the choker. If you're gonna cosplay as emotionally unavailable in 1998, at least commit to it. She is not selling this look. She's not even renting it. It's been returned to sender marked no charisma included. But what would a weekly vlog be without an off-brand Weather Channel moment? Brace yourselves, because we're pivoting from villain arc to local meteorologist. Oklahoma's got wildfires, and suddenly she's the town crier for natural disaster updates. We're in the red zone, she says, like she's calling plays at the Super Bowl, not refreshing Twitter for air quality alerts between buzzball binges. And then the best part is she says, my thoughts are out to you guys, and to myself. It's stunning and iconic. It's absolutely Olympian levels of self-centering. Sending thoughts and prayers to me, myself, and sometimes you. She manages to take a widespread natural disaster and still make it a personal anecdote, as if the wildfires themselves logged into her Instagram DMs to call her problematic. It's wild, and not in the nature on fire way. And then we get some of her post-livestream ramblings, and it's just nothing. She says she hasn't drank since January and just had 4 White Claws. She's so brave and resilient. Then she says she's been peeing like a mad woman, and it's just so glamorous and elegant. Clearly influencer royalty. Drink it in, folks. No pun intended. And then she starts telling us about her new shampoo and conditioner. The transition from alcohol to hair care was so jarring I nearly dislocated a vertebrae. She shows us all her face masks that she got from Amazon, and she's bringing up COVID like it's a core memory she just rediscovered. It's just a drunken detour into PPE nostalgia. She tells us she's had a few snacks, and then, of course, ends the clip by eating some more snacks. And then she's telling us she ordered McDonald's, which is obviously described as hectic. Hectic is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. Amber, you clicked 3 buttons and someone brought you 20 nuggets, calm down. And she didn't even get fries, the restraint, the courage, let's give her the Nobel Peace Prize. And then she says alcohol just doesn't feel good in her body anymore. Then maybe don't drink, but I digress. And then she's assembling cookware, because nothing screams high-functioning adult like drunken DIY in the kitchen at midnight. She says her brain isn't working, and that's probably the White Claws, Amber. Or maybe just the chronic condition known as being Amberlynn Reid. And then she drops it, and it almost breaks, and she pretends to fake gasp and giggle and go to bed. We're meant to find it quirky and adorable, but it's neither of those. It's just a fever dream wrapped in non-stick cookware. And then she says, I need to go to bed, I need to go to bed, I need to go to bed. It's a mantra for all of us, really. So far, all this has been is a desperate attempt to prove she has a life, while proving the exact opposite. No narrative, no direction, just drifting through her own living room like an aimless vacuum with mascara. And somehow this is supposed to be the relaunch. I like to talk, and it takes a lot to make me speechless, but this... I needed a moment to recover from the visual whiplash of drinking alone to Wednesday Addams meets Cat Cafe cosplay. There's the twin braids that are just twisted so aggressively tight, and then the sheer lace cardigan, and then a choker duo, because why stop at one when you can double the trauma? And then, of course, the cat print dress, which is either a tribute to her pets or a cry for help from her inner Tumblr girl. She's not serving mysterious gothic seductress. She's serving, I write smutty fanfiction about my Sims and I'm mad that no one reads it. This is not a look, darling. It's a threat. And to just drop it on us without any warning, it's bold and deranged. It's iconic in the worst way possible. And then she just starts talking about the outfit. Save us. Because we really needed context for the Morticia at the PTA meeting look she's deciding to give us. And then she's off to the movies. And I've seen a lot in my time, but nothing compares to Amberlynn trying to work the popcorn butter machine. She approaches the button like it's a bomb disposal unit. And then she tries to make it aesthetic with bathroom decor cameo. Like, no, you're not Carrie Bradshaw. You're a menace with snacks. And then the movie review. I don't really like movies like that. Then why go in the first place? And then can we talk about how she's already prepping the COVID ruined my stamina excuse for the inevitable moment she stops walking again? And then not her admitting the mile is probably out of reach while holding a small popcorn and still reeling from a drunken McNugget binge the night before. But yeah, sure, let's blame respiratory function, not the salami and mozzarella snack plate she inhaled like it was oxygen. Also, she said hogwash twice now. This better not be the new hectic. One more time and I'm calling an exorcist. And then we're in the heartbreak, the loneliness, the confusion. It's a cocktail of suffering stirred with a White Claw and garnished with spicy pickle chips. She's crashing out? This isn't a crash, this is full Hindenburg descent into flames. I just want life to stop being so painful. Then for the love of serotonin, just log off. You say it every week, but like a moth to a ring light, you come back every time. She won't leave the internet because the internet is the only place she still gets to play the main character. And then cue the swelling violins, Twinkie and Wasabi, the last two souls willing to sit near her. They're just crowned emotional support besties. Except we all remember that third bestie left across the country like an abandoned suitcase at baggage claim. A real Disney tale of loyalty, that one. And then just when you think she might go a day without trauma baiting, we get told about her childhood suffering again with a surprise 9 out of 10 score reveal like she's just unlocked the tragedy achievement on Xbox. She says it makes her so sad, but the glee in her voice is electric. This is not a woman grieving her past. This is a woman revving up for sympathy points with all the self-awareness of a damp tissue. And then she says she's finally ready to dive into healing. And I really want to believe her. But at this point, she just treats therapy like a TikTok trend. It's aesthetic and fleeting and never actually applied. She says she has ample time to give herself all of the energy. Yes, of course, because being terminally online and only filming yourself talking about yourself does free up one's calendar. But go ahead. Heal, self-care, journal, manifest your higher self. Just don't expect your audience to buy the act when you've spent 10 years treating your trauma like a sponsored segment. And then, freshly bathed in the fumes of her own martyrdom, she sits before us once more, this time flushed with tipsiness, angst, and the self-righteous glow of someone who just uploaded a tantrum pretending to be a clapback. She says she notices that when she's in a more unhinged state of mind, she sticks up for herself more, because nothing says empowered woman like admitting you only have a spine when you're spiraling. That's not growth, Amber. She schedules the salty crab response video while already pre-spinning the damage. I don't feel good about it. I don't like making this kind of content. I won't be doing more reaction videos. We all know she will. Because Amber's idea of boundaries is as solid as the lace thing she keeps buttoning and unbuttoning, like it's revealing something other than poor decision making. And then it's therapy o'clock, again. We did it, she says. We? Who is we? Me, the viewer? Don't drag me down with you, I've done my therapy. Her therapist says she has trauma from the past and the present. It's well spotted. That's what happens when you set fire to your own life on camera for 12 years. She speaks of disassociation, emotional regulation, and DBT like she's the first person to ever access a healthcare plan, as if she's just unlocked the next tier of healing on a mobile game. All of this could be progress, if we hadn't seen this cycle 17 times before. And then we reach the filler portion of the vlog, the phase where Smuggling pivots from performance vulnerability to her just a quirky girl who loves chips and cries at 2 AM act. She shows us her pants that are too long, much like this video. You bought pants too long for your height on purpose because of your lymphedema, and now you're shocked Pikachu because they're long? Then she says she was afraid to post the reaction video but doesn't regret it at all, and of course not. You're glowing with glee over all this drama you created. I don't want that to be the focus of my channel, she says, after naming her first weekly vlog, Getting Tipsy, Crashing Out, and Crazy Therapy Update. The circus is the channel. And then she says she gaslights herself about her hair thinning. No, you don't. You've been reading comments on Reddit and forums and decided to work it into your next vulnerability soliloquy. And then we see her at bingo and it's wild. The way she goes at those sheets like they're life or death serious. There's a kind of poetry in how she puts more precision and energy into color-coding paper for a prize night than she ever did for a nutrition plan or a doctor's order. At this point, this bingo sheet organization is the most structured thing she's done in years. She is trying to look like she's finding her peace, but everything so far is just buzzing with chaotic tension. After bingo, she tells us that she didn't win, but her mom's fiancé did. Meanwhile, Amber's greatest win of the week was successfully assembling pot lids. And then she recommends glow-in-the-dark bingo, but you know what else glows in the dark? Radioactive waste. But sure, chase your dopamine. It's not like there's a therapy appointment, mental health crisis, or audience hemorrhage going on. Let the neon numbers numb the pain. And then she starts adding mayo to her ramen. Maybe it's just because I'm not a mayo person, never have been, never will be, but this is like a war crime. She says don't knock it till you try it, but I'm knocking it. She's taken something humble, warm, and simple and made it vicious. She says she was supposed to babysit today. No, you weren't. You were allegedly going to babysit, and then miraculously everyone got sick and the plan vanished. Like every diet, journaling promise, or commitment to vlog editing. And then she edits in some sound of herself singing the soundtrack and saying she's a professional YouTuber now. Professional where? On what timeline? And then there's the crown jewel of her fixation cycle, the Lego update. Step 336 out of 584, and we've reached a point where one error requires dismantling the entire rear axle. It's a metaphor, really. It's a car-shaped monument to chaos, just like her channel. She is desperately trying to curate a new era. She's throwing everything at the wall, therapy, routines, mayo noodles, cheap chokers from 2012. But none of it's sticking. Because behind it all is the same person who thrives in the mess because it's all she knows. And then, after an entire week of emotional instability, McNugget-fueled introspection, and a tour of outfits from the Addams family's unwanted cousins, we reach the grand finale. Oracle Lynn. This is something I don't talk about online, she says. Amber, you talk about everything online. You'd live stream your own funeral if you thought it might clarify the narrative. She says she's a spiritual girly and that she believes in the universe. She believes in menus, dry shampoo, and whatever horoscope told her it's fine to scream at strangers on Instagram. But sure, the universe is guiding you, probably with a GPS set to delusion. Then she says she's matured spiritually a lot, but she's saying this immediately after a vlog of booze-fueled livestreams, rage uploads, and mayo-infused ramen. The spiritual growth is microscopic, and that tarot deck must be exhausted. And then she says the cards are her best friends in card form. Nice. How are those pets? Because there was once a cat that she called her best friend too, and we know how that ended. And then she sets up the plan that she wants to pull an oracle card each vlog to show how the week will go. Why? We already know how the week's gonna go. BPD meltdown, White Claw, Lego, victimhood, another let's talk, therapy mention, rage post, mayo ramen, and repeat. You don't need the cards, Amber. You need consistency, self-awareness, and a therapist who isn't forced to do emotional triage every week. And then she's holding up the cards saying they're proof of how small her hands are. Amberlynn Reed, influencer, YouTuber, hand model for tarot decks. She says she can't hold the whole deck, it's almost impossible. The way she's saying it like she's holding Excalibur. Amber is laminated cardstock. Then she says it's hard for her to shuffle, so she has to do it her own way. Much like nutrition, therapy, and accountability. Everything has to be Amber's way, even if it breaks the entire system in the process. And then she clarifies that she does know how to shuffle. And I hate doing this, but credit where it's due, that actually was a pretty good cut. And she's actually pretty good at the shuffling too, so I will give her 1 point for that. But then of course we have to take the point straight back, because she makes her obligatory tragic backstory DLC drop. Because even the most mundane task like shuffling cards has to be reframed as a survival skill from a harrowing orphanage saga. She didn't learn to shuffle for fun, she learned to shuffle to survive. You'd think the shelter was located inside a Tim Burton film. But to be fair, we respect tarot decks in this house. Tarot and oracle decks can be incredibly useful tools for reflection, perspective shifting, and emotional regulation. They're not just fortune-telling gimmicks, they're prompts. They're gateways to deeper insight. And if Amber is genuinely using them that way, with consistency and sincerity, that's amazing, genuinely good for her. But this is Amber. This woman treats healing tools like TikTok trends. One week it's shadow work, and the next week it's buzzball-fueled journaling, and now she's spiritually communing with the universe between meltdowns and mukbangs. It's not that she has oracle decks, that's fine, it's great. It's that she's using them like aesthetic props in a glow-up she's never going to complete. And she's probably going to forget about them. What happened to the bullet journals, the therapy workbooks, the guided meditation apps, the last 10 therapists, the poetry, the prose, the watercolour paints, the book hauls? If she actually does use these decks for self-regulation, introspection, and emotional accountability, that is great, we support that. But I just don't think she will. Not long term. Because it isn't about healing. It's about performing healing, aesthetic self-care, curated vulnerability, a spiritual charade between hauls and hashtags. She isn't communing with the universe. She's staging a seance with her self-awareness and nobody is answering. And so we end not with accountability or growth, but with 3 oracle cards and a deep, unwavering delusion that she's the misunderstood protagonist of a story she refuses to rewrite. She pulls a card that signifies her procrastination, naturally. This card was less divinely summoned and more like a long overdue subpoena. The only thing consistent in her universe is delay. Emotional, therapeutic, logistical, spiritual. Her life is a backlog of intentions left to expire in draft form. And then the glow-up card, naturally again. She reads this as a DBT arc. I read it as ironic comedy. She's been announcing her glow-up since she launched her channel. The only thing glowing up is the sodium content of her ramen. And then the final card tells her to not seek anyone else's approval. That is a poetic sentiment. But when you're filming yourself pulling this card after 30 straight minutes of publicly spiraling about criticism, it reads more like a cry for help than spiritual independence. And again, let's be honest, she's not using these cards as introspective tools. She's using them as aesthetic armor. They're just a new accessory to a tired persona. Spiritual Lynn, the cosmic empath tragically cursed by society's cruel misunderstanding of her. But the thing is, you cannot self-actualize when every tool you touch becomes a prop in your personal pity parade. Healing is a process, not a playlist. It's not just glow-up energy and mauled tarot metaphors. It's hard work, and she never finishes it. It's hard work she doesn't want. If these cards help, amazing. But more likely they'll go the way of a poetry, therapy worksheets, yoga mats, and bullet journals. Buried, forgotten, and unused. Just like the truth. But after saying all that, this was, astonishingly, a vlog. And not in her usual I'm pointing my camera at my face and wailing for 10 minutes about how I'm the victim sense. This was structured. There was some kind of effort. There was editing. There were even a couple of moments of intentional humour, rather than just the usual unintentional farce. I mean, don't misunderstand me, it was still chaotic, shallow, and riddled with contradictions. But compared to the usual parade of lies, laziness, and limp self-pity, this was a mild evolution. A soft reset. We saw activities, she had segments. She ended on a note of reflection rather than defensiveness. I don't want to say I'm impressed, but I am surprised. A weekly upload schedule could theoretically save her channel from the algorithmic oblivion that it's hurtling towards. It gives her time to edit, time to reflect, time to consider what might actually entertain someone other than herself. And if she were anyone else, I might even believe she could keep it up. But she's Amberlynn Reid. So, let's just wait. We'll watch, and when the unravelling inevitably begins again, we'll be right here. So stay tuned, or don't. It's all hogwash anyway.